Deep in the heart of Pleistocene California lies the most deceptive natural trap in the history of the ancient world, the La Brea tar pits. For tens of thousands of years, a shimmering, crystal-clear layer of fresh rainwater covered deep pools of thick, bubbling black asphalt. When a towering Columbian mammoth stepped into the water to take a drink, the ground simply swallowed its legs. It was glued to the earth. And as the giant slowly sank, its panicked, exhausted screams rang out across the open plains like a dinner bell. Driven by blind bloodlust and millions of years of predatory instinct, the apex killers of the Ice Age rushed in to claim an easy meal. But the moment they sank their teeth into the struggling prey, their own paws sank into the black sludge. The fossil record here is incredibly violent. Paleontologists have pulled the fossilized skeletons of over 3,000 saber-toothed cats and 4,000 giant direwolves straight out of this asphalt. Blinded by hunger, they threw their lives away. But within this massive graveyard of prehistoric titans, scientists discovered a chilling anomaly. Do you know how many American lions they found in the tar? Less than 100. The saber-tooth charged blindly into the mud, a slave to its own instincts. But the American lion? It approached the edge. It watched the struggling prey. It analyzed the physical properties of the trap. It possessed the cognitive ability to calculate that the risk outweighed the reward, and it simply walked away. Welcome back to Primal Dominion. Today we are tracking an 800-pound phantom of the snow, a predator 25% larger than any modern African lion. But its greatest evolutionary weapon wasn't its claws, it was its mind. If you are picturing a standard African lion with a flowing, majestic mane standing in a blizzard, erase that image from your mind entirely. Hollywood gets this wrong every single time. Evolution does not tolerate useless vanity in a freezing climate. If an Ice Age predator possessed a thick mane of hair, the freezing rain and heavy wet snow of the Pleistocene winter would act like a sponge. The water would mat into the fur, and within hours that mane would freeze solid, turning into an agonizingly heavy collar of ice. It would drain the animal's core body temperature, severely restrict its neck mobility, and become a fatal anchor. Ancient human cave paintings confirm this chilling reality. In the Chauvet Cave in France, early human pioneers drew highly detailed portraits of this animal's sister species, the Eurasian cave lion. Every single drawing explicitly shows a massive, heavily muscled feline with absolutely no mane. To a human pioneer, an 800-pound male Panthera atrox looked like an impossibly massive, hypermuscular lioness. Standing nearly 4 feet at the shoulder, it possessed the thick, heavy facial bone structure of a dominant male, deeply scarred from brutal territorial warfare. Its coat was pale, frosted and gritty, flawlessly designed to blend in with the blinding white snow. It was a stark, brutal survival engine. But its lack of a mane wasn't its only evolutionary adaptation for the winter wasteland. To truly understand how this creature ruled the North American continent, you have to look at the skeletal chassis. In our last episode, we broke down the biology of the saber-toothed cat. The saber-tooth was built like a biological hydraulic press. It had stocky, grizzly bear-like forearms built to grapple heavy prey to the jungle floor. It was heavy, slow, and relied entirely on close-quarters ambush. But out on the vast, freezing, flat tundras of North America, there was absolutely nowhere to hide. You couldn't ambush your prey. You had to run it down. The American lion relied on a highly evolved cursorial engine. When scientists analyzed the skeletal structure of Panthera atrox, they found that its distal limbs, its lower leg bones, were significantly elongated and lightweight compared to modern big cats. This dramatically increased its stride length. Furthermore, its nasal cavity was massively enlarged, allowing it to pull in huge volumes of freezing oxygen to fuel its muscles without freezing its lungs. But running in deep snow is exhausting. To counter this, Panthera atrox evolved massive, highly spreadable toe pads. These enormous paws acted as natural snowshoes, distributing the animal's 800-pound weight so it could glide over the surface of the snowpack while its heavier, hoofed prey sank and struggled. When a herd of prehistoric horses broke into a stampede, the American lion could reach estimated top speeds of over 40 miles per hour. It was a terrifying, relentless, aerodynamic force that simply would not stop until its prey's lungs burned and they collapsed from sheer exhaustion. But how exactly did it kill a massive, thrashing prehistoric horse once it caught it? The saber-tooth had fragile 12-inch ivory daggers. It had to carefully pin its prey down and deliver a surgical slice to the neck to bleed the animal out, constantly terrified of snapping its teeth on the bone. The American lion was far more brutal. It possessed thick, conical, armor-piercing canine teeth, backed by a jaw capable of delivering an estimated bite force of nearly 1,800 pounds per square inch. That is a harder bite than a modern polar bear. Behind those canines sat the carnassial shears, specialized premolars designed to act like bone-crushing scissors, slicing through thick muscle and tendon. It didn't bleed its prey out, it utilized the tracheal clamp. The lion would leap onto the back of the exhausted prey, use its massive weight to bring the animal down, and sink its teeth directly into the throat. With 1,800 pounds per square inch of pressure, it would crush the windpipe, completely cutting off the oxygen supply. It was a methodical, terrifyingly efficient asphyxiation. But raw strength and speed require massive daily calories. To keep an 800-pound body fueled in a bitter, freezing wasteland, you cannot rely on brute force alone. You must be a tactical genius. When paleontologists use digital laser scanning to create endocranial casts, essentially mapping the inside of the fossilized skull, the results of the American lion are terrifying. Panthera atrox possessed a remarkably high encephalization quotient. Its brain was exceptionally large relative to its body mass, particularly in the frontal lobes associated with complex problem solving. It wasn't a solitary killer, it was a highly communicative, strategic pack hunter. And we know exactly how smart they were because of a process called stable isotope analysis. By analyzing the chemical isotopes trapped inside fossilized American lion bones, modern scientists can see exactly what these animals ate. The data shows they didn't just hunt randomly, they actively changed their diet based on the season, predicting the migratory patterns of prehistoric horses and bison based on changing weather fronts. They mapped the terrain in their minds. They analyzed their environment with cold, calculating precision. And roughly 15,000 years ago, they began analyzing a new, strange, two-legged creature that had just walked onto their plains. Imagine the sheer psychological terror of the early human pioneers. When humanity survived the brutal trek across the Bering Land Bridge and entered North America, they stepped onto a flat, open chessboard ruled by a genius predator. In the deep woods, humans could use trees and terrain to their advantage. But in the snow-blind openness of the plains, a human hunting party was completely exposed. And the archaeological record proves they went to war. Deep inside the Jaguar Cave in Idaho, archaeologists made a stunning and horrifying discovery. They found the fossilized bones of the American lion inside ancient human refuse pits, lying right alongside the ashes of human campfires. To survive the brutal Ice Age winters, early humans desperately needed the massive, thick pelts of the American lion to use as heavy winter coats. But how does a fragile human kill an 800-pound genius feline? They used the atlatl, a prehistoric spear-throwing device that acted as a lever, multiplying the kinetic energy of the human arm. This allowed them to launch heavy darts tipped with razor-sharp stone Clovis points at speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour. The Clovis point was an engineering marvel, designed to pierce thick Ice Age hide and cause massive internal hemorrhaging. But when you hunt a highly intelligent pack predator, it quickly learns to hunt you back. The American lion began analyzing human behavior. It learned the maximum range of a thrown spear. It learned to stalk human camps, hovering silently just outside the flickering ring of firelight. It understood that these fragile bipeds were both a deadly threat and a highly nutritious food source. It was a prehistoric blood feud of unparalleled intelligence. A brutal game of high IQ cat and mouse played out in the freezing dark. But humans were not the only competitors on this frozen chessboard. When a pack of American lions successfully ran down a massive Ice Age horse, their high-speed engine presented a fatal biological flaw. Running at maximum velocity drains stamina. When the kill was finally made, the lions were utterly exhausted, their muscles burning, panting heavily in the snow. And the scent of that fresh blood carried for miles on the freezing wind. Out on the open plains, the American lion regularly had to defend its hard-earned kills against the true, undisputed monster of the Pleistocene. The giant, short-faced bear. Arctodus simus. This was a towering 2,000-pound biological bulldozer that stood up to 12 feet tall on its hind legs. It was a hyper-carnivore. Panthera atrox could run fast, and it could think fast, but it absolutely could not outmuscle a bear 3 times its size. If the lions could not use their numbers to intimidate the giant, they had to abandon their kill and retreat into the snow, hungry and freezing. A brutal daily reminder that on the prehistoric plains, even a genius is only one mistake away from death. So why did the smartest, largest, fastest feline in North American history vanish from the Earth? The answer is a tragedy of scale. Roughly 10,000 years ago, the Pleistocene Epoch was ending. The Earth began to rapidly warm. The massive glacial ice sheets retreated, and the vast, thundering herds of Ice Age horses and ancient bison, the exact fuel this massive predator needed to survive, collapsed. To maintain its core temperature and muscle mass in the freezing cold, a male American lion required an estimated 40 to 50 pounds of meat every single day. As the mega herds disappeared, the American lion was forced to hunt smaller, faster, modern deer. But the biological math simply did not work. The energy expended by an 800-pound cat to chase down a lightweight deer across the plains provided far fewer calories than the hunt required. It was running at a severe biological deficit. The American lion didn't lose a war to the humans. It wasn't wiped out by a dramatic, fiery catastrophe. The climate shifted, the food chain broke, and the most intelligent cat of the Ice Age simply laid down in the tall grass and quietly starved to death. A brilliant, beautiful mind trapped in a chassis that the world could no longer support. The American lion was a masterpiece of evolutionary speed and intelligence. But the creature that regularly stole its food on the frozen tundra, the towering titan that cast a shadow over both the lion and early humans, was a nightmare of an entirely different magnitude. A bear so massively engineered it could look a fully grown human directly in the eye while standing on all fours. To uncover the terrifying true story of the giant short-faced bear, click the video on your screen right now. You will never look at the wilderness the same way again. Keep your fires burning. We will see you in the next episode of Primal Dominion.